The Haunting of Briarwood Manor. Deep in the heart of the English countryside stood Briarwood Manor, a grand estate with a dark and unsettling history. For decades, it had been abandoned, left to rot as the dense ivy crept up its crumbling walls and the once beautiful gardens grew wild and unruly. But despite its dilapidated state, there was something about the manor that still held a sinister allure. It was said that anyone who spent a night within its walls would never be the same again. Whispers of strange noises, ghostly apparitions, and unexplainable occurrences surrounded the old mansion, and it was shunned by the locals, who spoke of it only in hushed tones. One autumn evening, a young couple, Emily and Jack, decided to challenge the legends. They had heard the stories of Briarwood Manor but dismissed them as mere superstitions. They were urban explorers, fascinated by abandoned places, and Briarwood seemed like the perfect adventure. As they approached the manor, the sky was heavy with dark clouds, and the wind howled through the twisted branches of the ancient trees surrounding the estate. The iron gates creaked as they pushed them open, the sound echoing ominously in the cold air. With each step closer to the manor, the feeling of unease grew, but they were determined to explore every inch of the mansion. The front door groaned as it swung open, revealing a grand but decaying foyer. Dust hung in the air and the scent of damp and decay filled their nostrils. They turned on their flashlights, the beams cutting through the darkness as they ventured deeper into the house. At first, the manor was eerily quiet, save for the sound of their footsteps on the creaking floorboards. But soon, strange things began to happen. They heard faint whispers, though no one else was there. Shadows seemed to move on their own, darting out of the corners of their eyes. The temperature dropped suddenly, and the air grew thick with a palpable sense of dread. In one of the upstairs bedrooms, Emily found an old, dusty mirror. As she wiped away the grime, she saw not just her reflection, but something else, a figure standing behind her, its face obscured by darkness. She spun around, but the room was empty. Yet, in the mirror, the figure remained, slowly moving closer to her reflection. Panicking, she called out to Jack, but he was nowhere to be found. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling her head with a cacophony of voices that drowned out her own thoughts. The figure in the mirror extended a shadowy hand towards her, and she felt a cold grip on her shoulder. She screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the thick, oppressive air. Meanwhile, Jack was in the basement, drawn there by a strange, low humming sound. The walls were lined with old portraits, their eyes seeming to follow him as he moved. At the far end of the room, he found an old wooden chest. As he opened it, a wave of cold air rushed out, and he was hit by the overwhelming scent of rot. Inside the chest was a collection of old, yellowed photographs, each one depicting the manor in different stages of decay. But as he looked closer, he noticed something horrifying. Each photograph also showed a ghostly figure, growing clearer and more defined in each successive image, until the final photo showed the figure standing in the very spot where Jack now stood. The door to the basement slammed shut, and the lights flickered before going out completely. Jack's flashlight sputtered and died, leaving him in total darkness. He could hear the low humming grow louder, now accompanied by the sound of soft footsteps approaching from the shadows. Upstairs, Emily was in a frenzy, trying to escape the manor. But every door she tried was locked, and every window sealed shut. The figure in the mirror was now fully visible, its face a twisted mask of agony, its eyes burning with malevolence. It spoke to her in a voice that chilled her to the bone. "You will join us forever." In the basement, Jack felt something cold and clammy brush against his skin. He stumbled backward only to feel hands gripping his arms, his legs, his throat. The last thing he saw before he was dragged into the darkness was the figure from the photographs, its ghastly face leering at him with hollow eyes. Emily and Jack were never seen again. The townspeople spoke of strange lights and sounds coming from Briarwood Manor in the nights that followed, but no one dared to investigate. The manor remains abandoned to this day, a monument to the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of the known world. Those who pass by it in the dead of night sometimes report seeing shadowy figures in the windows or hearing faint, desperate whispers carried on the wind. But most know better than to stop. For the haunting of Briarwood Manor is a tale that warns of the dangers of curiosity and the fate that awaits those who seek out the shadows.